we hear another presentation called the Six Realms, and this is part of it. So we hear about the Devas, Asuras, human, animal, Preta, and Narak. Narak is translated as Hell Realm usually. So those six can all be put here. The six realms, meaning humans, animals, Pretas, so forth. But one of those six, it's called the Deva realm. And that word Deva is sometimes translated as God realm, but it's a bit misleading. It's not really anything to do with a creator God or anything. It just means a very blissful type of existence, the Deva. And so when we talk about the word Deva, sometimes they might include those two in the Deva. So the six realms can either just be desire realm, or it can actually include all three, depending on how you
it's a state
present.
Of mind, no? The six realms, it's a state of mind.
Okay, according to tomorrow's presentation, everything, of course, is a state of mind, but they exist. No?
I mean the animal realm. You're talking about people that are...
No, we're talking about animals, the actual animals. So when we talk about these six realms, you know, the question is, do they exist? Well, for us, we can confirm two, human and animal realm, we can see. So for two of them, for us, yes, we know. The other four, some people claim to be able to see these types of beings. They may be valid experiences, they may be hallucinating, I don't know. I've never seen any of the other types of beings, but from a Buddhist perspective, they exist, just like humans and animals. The only difference, of course, is that their bodies are very subtle, so that's why with our particular eye, we can't see them.
What are they?
Well, there's Deva, there's what's two realms similar, Deva and Asura. So they're very sort of elevated, pleasurable sort of existences, a lot of pleasure. And then two, Preta and Narak, they tend to have a lot of suffering, physical suffering. The Preta and Narak, they're sort of the lower. So sort of that whole bandwidth from a lot of pleasure to a lot of suffering in there.
I think that regarding the histories, there are many sutras that we can learn from.
Learn sutras?
Sutras.
Sure.
About the question about the history,
Sure.
we can learn from sutras.
Sure.
It's a testimony for what was and what.
Sure. I mean, of course, sutras are the word of the Buddha, and you have sutras within the Pali scriptures and also sutras in the Sanskrit tradition. But again, a lot of the historical sutras, I think, were destroyed and not existent anymore. But of course, a number of them, when Buddhism spread from India, of course, spread to those countries before they were wiped out in India. So a number of them, and of course, then they spread to those countries, and then some of those were lost or destroyed over the centuries. But yeah, so yeah, there still is quite a lot of sutras, and in those sutras, which are the words of the Buddha, we have a lot of discussion about a lot of these sorts of things.
I just want to comment on what you said earlier about the two parts of the brain. I'm not a brain scientist, but there are researchers that...
There's left and right side, yeah.
Yeah, and they can think independently as well. So maybe that can explain something.
Yeah. No, it's supposed to be one's more logic and one's
More sensitive.
something, yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, I don't know anything about brain science so much. Okay, that's all I think I wanted to cover this evening. Let me have a look here. Yeah, no, I think it's...
Can I ask one last question?
Sure.
All this method of for results and a
Sure.
person, was it already existing in the Buddha's time, or did it?
Yeah, I mean, this is coming from the very early Pali scriptures, from the Four Noble Truths teachings. So this was, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is from this sort of presentation. You'll find that is coming from the very earliest of the scriptures, of the teachings of the Buddha.
In the four results, all these stages are have body?
Sure. I mean, they can all be human.
They can or they are?
They don't have to be. I mean, well, the first three are, and the fourth, an arhat, I think doesn't have to be. You could become an arhat in one of these other realms, but generally I think, again, I'm only speculating from Theravada because I haven't studied Theravada very much, but I mean, once returner and non-returner, actually it means desire. Yeah, maybe technically they don't have to be human. They could be, in theory, another type of, like a deva or one of the other beings in the six realms there. Deva, Asura. In the Mahayana, it's said that to sort of follow this sort of path, human type of existence is usually the best in terms of you have enough suffering to know there's something to be done, but you have enough good conditions and enough cognitive ability to do something about it. Whereas what's called the Deva and Asura realms, that type of existence, they've just got too much pleasure. There's no motivation to do anything. And then the Preta and Narak realm, and also animal realm, they either have too much suffering or not enough cognitive ability to do anything about it. Whereas the human sort of has that mix of enough suffering but enough good conditions and cognitive ability to do something. So they say that to sort of be able to follow these stages, the best type of existence is human, but certainly in the Mahayana, maybe in Theravada as well, there are descriptions of sometimes beings from these other realms who've progressed along the path, these Devas and Asuras. You sometimes see that, but Theravada I'm not sure, but Mahayana I've seen it a little bit. It mentions it, but they always say that for really to be able to follow the path, the human existence is probably the best for that.
Also, arhat with remainder can be a human.
A human, yeah, sure. But not. I don't think they have to be human, an arhat, because they could be achieved it from another type of existence. But now I'm sort of speculating, so we leave it out. Okay, let's leave it there. Let's go to the Shavasana. And then tomorrow, of course, we're going to go into the Vipassana practice from Mahayana perspective. So we're going to have a look at this idea of emptiness and do a few emptiness practices. And then we'll look at this 5-path model tomorrow evening for the Vipassana practice in Mahayana. But let's do the Shavasana practice now.